Obviously, I think that was a momentous day. It's been a really extraordinary 2 weeks. And after the fruitful end of 2 weeks of negotiations, we obviously arrived at an agreement. And I want to begin any comments by thanking our UK hosts. This was tough to do. COVID, you're all in masks. We've all been operating within COVID restrictions, tested every day, as we should be. And I think this is hard. You think about it, this is hard to pull off. And they deserve credit. And the people here deserve credit. Everybody who took part in this really worked hard at pulling this together at a complicated time in everybody's lives. So I thank the COP president, Alok Sharma, who put together a strong effort here. And I thank the Secretary of the UNFCCC, Patricia Espinosa, for her help, and she obviously came with certain experience here. I also want to acknowledge the whole of government team from the United States that took part in this and helped us to do the things we needed to do here, to reach out to people, to talk to people, to coalesce, and to make many announcements that will add to our capacity to be able to do what we need to do as we leave here. President Biden obviously made an unprecedented commitment to this, came here, made major announcements, premier among them obviously the methane pledge. 108 countries signed up already and proceeding to take forward. And also the 10 cabinet secretaries who came. He also announced the major deforestation initiative, $9 billion over 5 years, over 10 years. And that was an important period. Secretary Blinken, Gina McCarthy, 50 members of Congress, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, former President Barack Obama. The United States took this seriously, as we should, after the previous administration was absent during their time in the White House. I also want to, you guys know them, you've talked to them, that's our negotiators, our sort of prime negotiators. What an amazing team, and they come with a remarkable level of experience. I am in awe of their knowledge of the detail of so many different complicated issues, led obviously by Sue Biniaz, John Pershing, Trig Talley, and a whole group of younger negotiators who really earned their spurs here, some of them dedicated exclusively to the rule book and to the arcane issues of the rule book, of markets, of transparency, and they did a hell of a job. So here are where things stand, in my judgment, as we leave Glasgow. And I want to thank Glasgow, the politeness and help from all of the police officers, from the folks at the security stations, the processing of daily thousands of people. It was really pretty impressive. And the folks here, I mean, Glasgow could not have been more welcoming to all of us in every way possible. So, been thinking about this for a couple of days, but I really do believe that as a result of this decision and as a result of the announcements that have been made over the course of the last 2 weeks, we are, in fact, closer than we have ever been before to avoiding climate chaos and securing cleaner air, a safer water, and healthier planet because of this agreement. Now, you may scratch your head and say, well, I mean, is that hyperbole? No, I don't think it is. We've been cruising all the way up to Paris, and Paris Paris was the beginning, if you will, when the countries came together, but everybody wrote their own plan in Paris. And they wrote their plan based on less input, less knowledge, less science, less evidence, less facts, less Mother Nature messages than we have had in the last years. And so those plans, if they were fully implemented, you'd still have a rise of the Earth's temperature to about 3-point-something degrees, if not more, higher, 4. So Paris was a signal to the marketplace, not a guarantee that we wouldn't be able to hold the Earth's temperature rise to well below 2 degrees, let alone 1.5. But now, here in Glasgow, we have 65% of global GDP committed to real plans that have been certified by the IPCC or by the IEA or by various modelers that you know, from Rhodium to Climate Action to others. They've been certified to say, yes, if you do all those things, you can keep 1.5 degrees alive. And as a result of what took place here with nations that have never considered even having the word coal in a plan, where it remains, even today after what took place, coal and the phase down of coal is on the books. It's part of the decision. And you have to phase down coal before you can, quote, end coal. So this is a beginning of something. I think, we always knew that Glasgow was not the finish line. And anybody who thought it was doesn't understand the challenge that we have. Glasgow, was never going to be that we were going to come to Glasgow and everybody was going to have a decision that was somehow going to end the crisis or, automatically put us on the path we have to go. So I would say that, Paris built the arena and Glasgow starts the race. And tonight, the starting gun was fired. We have about 9 years within which to make those critical decisions we were warned about in 2018 by the IPCC, and we have the years in this decade, the decisive decade, in order to cut 45% of global emissions to hold on to the 1.5. Now, we raised ambition here in Glasgow. This was not business as usual. I've been attending these meetings since 1992, when we first created this entire process. And the story here is not told only through the NDCs, as critical as they are. The NDCs were the basic tool that Paris did create. But the fact is that we saw the full coalition that we need come together here in Glasgow and make a commitment, and that includes civil society, private sector, NGOs, activists, young people, older people, people from all over the world, demonstrating and pushing. And the result is that we had tribal and indigenous representatives here in force, demanding a just transition, which is vital, and demanding environmental justice, which is critical to any approach. So we had a series of objectives before we came here. First, thanks to many months of negotiations, the objective we had of finalizing that so-called archaic name, the rule book, but the famous or infamous, depending how you look at it, rule book, get completed here, folks. That was a goal. And it's hard. It was really hard to be able to do that. There was tough negotiations over things that matter in the context of economy and trade and people's beliefs about how they should behave in this process. Transparency rules, how often we report, how we report, all of those things, progress in order to measure where we're going with the NDCs and what their meaning is. We set out to raise ambition. And on our team, we traveled the world to do that. Raised ambition with Indonesia, raised ambition with South Africa, raised ambition with Japan, with South Korea, with our colleagues in Canada, raised ambition in terms of Saudi Arabia and Brazil. And so the majority of the 20 largest economies in the world, which are responsible for 80% of all the emissions, are among those committed to achieve the 1.5 degrees. And what we believe we're doing in that raising of ambition is setting a template for what we take out to other countries all around the world. So rule book, ambition. Third, Glasgow gives us a very clear blueprint going forward for the things we need to do from now through 2030 and 2030 through 2050. And it embraces keeping 1.5 degrees alive. It sets out a lot of steps in that regard. And while some people may have wanted even stronger language, the text that we agreed to has the first ever, believe it or not, mention of coal and fossil fuel subsidies. That's never happened. And it's happened in a way that big countries that have been dependent on coal have signed on to phasing down. Now, does that mean it's phased down? No. That's the follow-up. That's the accountability. That's the reporting. But we emerge from Glasgow having dramatically raised the world's ambition to solve this challenge in this decade and beyond. And we will have measurements starting now, every month, every day, every period of the year, each year.